Good evening. So let's continue. So we've just completed Buddhism and Jainism, and so let's switch over to another topic called Vaishnavism. Vaishnavism, or this religion is also known as Bhagavatism. Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism. So what is Hinduism? Hinduism is not a particular religion. This is defined by the Honorable Supreme Court of India that Hinduism is a way of life, and it's not a religion. And even if we consider Hinduism as a religion, it includes, or it's a kind of umbrella term, and it's a bunch of religion. Hinduism is a bunch of religion, even if we consider Hinduism as a religion. And Hinduism includes Brahmanical religion, or religion of the Aryans from 1500 before Common Era till the 6th century before Common Era, and even later. So Brahmanism. And Hinduism also includes Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism, and it apart from Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism, Hinduism, it also includes Shaivism and Shakta religion. Vaishnavism, which is centered, interwoven around a Vedic god named Vishnu, Bhagwan Vishnu. Shaivism is centered around Lord Shiva, while Shakta religion is more popular in the eastern quarter of Indian subcontinent, and mainly in Bengal. Shakta religion is concentrated, surrounded, or interwoven around our female deities, goddesses like Goddess Durga, Goddess Kali, Chandi, Parvati, Bhairavi. So even apart from Brahmanical religion, Buddhism and Jainism we have discussed so far yet, we have to have better understanding of Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism, Shaivism and Shakta religion, and further philosophical development of our Upanishadic philosophy. Like we have to know about Shankar Acharya, Ramanuj Acharya, Madhav, Nimbark Acharya tradition. Acharyas mean these acharyas, they formed a tradition in the Indian religious history called Acharya tradition. And then we have to know about Alwar and Nayanar saints of South India. Bhakti in South India, and Alwar saints and Nayanar, ALWAR, Alwar saints, and NAR, Alwar saints. Alwar means drowned in the bhakti of Lord Vishnu. भगवान विष्णु की भक्ति में डूबे हुए लोगों, संतों को अलवार कहा गया. And those saints who were totally drowned in the bhakti of Lord Shiva in South India, they were known as Nayanars. So we have 12 altogether. We have 12 Alwar saints and 63 Nayanar saints. So in fact we have two traditions, Acharya tradition and emotional tradition, related to the Hinduism or particular religion like Shaivism or Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism. So from 2nd century before Common Era and onwards during the subsequent ages, so from 2nd century before Common Era and mainly up to the 5th century common era over a period of 700 years. This period in the religious history of India was almost totally dominated by a particular religion called Buddhism. This period, so religiously speaking, this period in the history of India, it was almost totally dominated by the Buddhism. And Buddhism became so popular religion that it became religion of the masses, and its arms, its elements spread out of the boundaries of our country, out of even Indian subcontinent, and Buddhism is spread to the Central Asia. During the medieval ages, Central Asian had embraced Islam. But like Kazakhstan, Istan countries, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan, ये सब countries है ना, Central Asia. So Central Asians were earlier the Buddhists. But when Prophet Muhammad started preaching Islam, and Islam was based on equality and simplicity, and Central Asians were en masse attracted towards the Islam, and they had accepted Islam. But before being Islamic people, most of the Central Asians were the Buddhists. Most of the Central Asian. And Mongolia adjacent to China, Mongolia, Tibet, even China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, some countries of Southeast Asia, and even Sri Lanka. So Central Asian Buddhists, Mongolian Buddhists, Chinese Buddhists, Korean Buddhists, Japanese Buddhists, they are the followers of Mahayana sect of Buddhism. And most of the Buddhist followers of Sri Lanka, they belong to Hinayan sect, lesser vehicle of Buddhism. So Buddhism rose to popularity in course of time, and when Lord Buddha, Mahatma Buddha, started preaching his philosophy, his teaching, and his teachings and philosophy were free from complexities, and he talked about sorrow and desires. Mahatma Buddha, so yesterday we talked a lot about Mahatma Buddha. So Buddha talked about sorrow and desires, and he said to the people that this world is full of sorrow and people are full of grief, because not because of their soul or universal soul, but because of their desires. So limit your desires, so you are free from your sorrow. So and he said desires are the root cause of sorrow. There are, and he observed 4 truths when he sat beneath a peepal tree called Bodhi Vriksha, and he realized 4 things, 4 ultimate truths. First one, that the world is full of sorrow. Buddha never observed that the world is full of happiness. He observed that the world is full of sorrow. And second thought he developed, and he expressed himself, and his second thought, he told to the people that there are causes of sorrow, and desires are the causes of sorrow. And he further said, elimination of sorrow is possible. Elimination of sorrow is possible, and elimination of sorrow is possible by practicing a path called Eightfold Path or Ashtangik Marg. And Ashtangik Marg is a middle path. Middle path means avoidance of extremities of joy and extremities of happiness. So because of his very simple teaching and his philosophy, simple philosophy, and one more thing, Buddha never involved himself in any kind of philosophical discussions like soul or universal soul. And when people ask Gautam Buddha, sir, teacher, my lord, is there any soul inside our body? Is there any universal soul? Is there any relationship between individual soul and universal soul? He smiled and he remained silent, which means perhaps neither he had accepted nor rejected the existence of soul. So he was not intended to involve himself in any kind of philosophical discussion, complicated philosophical discussion. Rather, he talked about practical things like sorrow and desire. So he rose to popularity. His sect rose to popularity, and over a period of time, Buddhism became a religion. So even if Buddha himself was not intended to establish a religion, in course of time, his sect came to be organized properly, and that proper sect, when sect was properly organized, in course of time, it came to be called Buddhism. The Buddhism. So it became a religion, and it became a religion of the masses. Buddhism became a religion of the masses. जनता का धर्म बना because of his simple teaching, his very attractive personality, and another very important thing, Buddha preached in Pali, a form of Prakrit. And not only Buddha, his contemporary, another teacher, Mahavir Swami, he preached in Ardhamadhi, hybrid Madhi form of Pali, another form of Pali or Prakrit. So Buddhism rose to popularity, and Buddhism emerged, Buddhism evolved, or Buddhism emerged because of prevailing orthodoxy of the Varna system. Buddhism emerged, Jainism emerged because of prevailing orthodoxy of the Varna system. And when Shudras, Vaishyas and Shudras, they were assigned third and fourth position. Vaishyas and Shudras were given, they were assigned third and fourth position, and Brahmanas claimed topmost position in the social and religious hierarchy. And Vaishyas and Shudras, when they faced discrimination or an orthodoxy, and they were looking for another religion where at least they could claim equality. So they were looking for another religion, and Buddha established a sect or a religion, and because of simplicity and its principles of equality, egalitarian principles, large number of Vaishyas and Shudras were attracted en masse towards the Buddhism, but not towards the Jainism, because Jainism came to be based on extremities. Every time Mahavir Swami talked about or put excessive emphasis on ahimsa, excessive emphasis on truth. So because of extremities, Jainism never became religion of the masses, and because of simplicity, Buddhism became a religion of the masses. And Buddhism is because of rising popularity of Buddhism, Brahmanical tradition, Brahmanical religion of the Aryan itself was in danger. It was in danger because of rising popularity of the Buddhism. Brahmanical religion was in danger, and now to cope up this challenge, put forwarded before the Brahmanical tradition by the Buddhism, and mainly by the Mahayana sect of Buddhism. And what was that Mahayana sect of Buddhism? Much simpler form of Buddhism. Mahayana sect was so simpler form of Buddhism, even that Mahayanis, they left practicing eightfold path, है ना, कल हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया. They left practicing, Mahayanis left practicing eightfold path, and instead of practicing eightfold path, they introduced a new concept of bodhisattvas. So, and bodhisattvas, according to Mahayana philosophy, bodhisattvas are the persons who are divine persons who are at the verge of attainment of nirvana or a state of highest bliss, but they are not going to do so unless or until every Buddhist or every person on this earth attains the status of nirvana, which means freedom from the vicious cycle of birth and rebirth. So now in order to save the mere existence of the Brahmanical religion, the Brahmanas, they came forwarded and they presented before the masses much simpler form of Brahmanical tradition, much simpler form of Brahmanical religion, and that simpler and improved form of Brahmanical religion is called Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism. So Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism is not a new sect or not a new religion. In fact, it's an improved version of the Brahmanical religion of Rigvedic, later Vedic Aryans. Improved version. And this Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism was free from orthodoxy. Free from orthodoxy. And Bhagavad Gita was declared its main textbook. Bhagavad Gita. And in that sacred textbook, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, even if a Chandal means Shudra, untouchable, outcast, even if a Chandal comes to my shelter full of bhakti and devotion, I would like to provide him freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Which means even a Chandal means one who burns dead bodies at the cremation ground. जो शमशान घाट पे मुर्दे जलाते हैं उन्हें चांडाल बोला जाता था. And earlier, according to the Brahmanical tradition, a Chandal was deprived of all of its religious rights. But Vaishnavism says that even a Chandal is entitled to have moksha. This means this religion now came to be based on equality and free from prevailing orthodoxy of the Brahmanical religion. So Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism this religion was and improved religion, improved version of the an improved version of the Brahmanical religion, an improved version of the Brahmanical religion, and free from, and it was free from orthodoxy. It was free from orthodoxy and came to be based on, and free from orthodoxy and came to be based on egalitarian principles or principles of equality, came to be based on equality. So it has two very important characteristic features. First one, free from orthodoxy, and it preached equality. So this religion was presented before the masses to save the existence of Brahmanical religion. Okay, and this religion was centered around a Vedic deity named Vishnu, भगवान विष्णु. उनको बीच में सेंटर में रखा गया. Lord So Lord Vishnu was declared main deity of this newly emerged, newly established, newly founded religion. and say one more thing. This religion started emerging around the 2nd century before Common Era, when Buddhism reached at its popularity of Buddhism reached at its climax, and Brahminical tradition was in grave danger. And here, this was the time of 2nd century. 2nd century before Common Era was the century of origin of the Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism. And during the same time, and even during the later ages, subsequent ages, Brahmanas, they started compiling the Brahmanical mythology, Hindu mythology, because Buddhists started borrowing Hindu mythology. So even in order to save their own mythology, Brahmanas started compiling and writing their mythological textbooks called Puran. Puranas. Puranas. Puranas were compiled around 2nd century before Common Era and onwards. And Puranas are all about preservation, compilation and preservation of Hindu mythology, because the Buddhist people, they started borrowing Hindu mythology for the sake of Buddhism. तो बुद्धिस्ट लोग हिंदू माइथोलॉजी लेने लगे थे, तो इन्होंने सोचा कि अपना माइथोलॉजी प्रिजर्व कर लेते हैं. सो इन ऑर्डर टू प्रिजर्व देयर ओन माइथोलॉजी, some of the Brahmanas, they started compiling, they started preserving their own mythology, and their mythology is called Puran. Puran, literal meaning old narratives, पुरानी कहानियां, प्राचीन आख्यान, पुरानी कहानियां. कहानियां मतलब mythology. So Hindu mythology is largely based on the Puranas compiled by the Brahmanas during the 2nd century before Common Era and onwards. Okay. So we have a historical evidence. We have a historical evidence in favor of worship of a deity, worship of a local deity, and he was Bhagvat Vasudeva. There was a deity locally worshipped in Madhya Pradesh, mainly at Vidisha, Ujjain and adjacent areas. A local deity was worshipped by the people of Vidisha and Ujjain, and he was not the Aryan deity, Bhagvat, and he was Bhagvat Vasudeva. Bhagvat Vasudeva. So around 2nd century before Common Era, a deity was worshipped locally at Vidisha. He came to be known as Vidisha. He came to be known as Bhagvat Vasudeva. He came to be known as Bhagvat Vasudeva. Right, further, it was to this deity, that so this fact is mentioned in old edition of NCERT written by Professor Ramcharan Sharma. So it was to this deity that Base Nagar column. Base Nagar column is a stone pillar. Is a stone pillar erected at Vidisha. Erected at Vidisha. इसका हिस्ट्री में बताता हूं, अभी पहले लिख लेते हैं ना. It was to this deity that Base Nagar column was erected by Heliodorus, a person, Heliodorus. It was to this deity that Base Nagar column at Vidisha was erected by a Greek named Heliodorus. Heliodorus, he was a Greek ambassador. He was a Greek ambassador. इसको लिख ही लेते हैं, कंप्लीट कर लेते हैं. Heliodorus, an ambassador, Rajdut, an ambassador of the Greek king Antiochus. An ambassador of the Greek king Antiochus. So Antiochus, during the postmodern period, Antiochus was a Greek king. Antiochus was a Greek king. See here. Antiochus. He sent his ambassador named Heliodorus. Ambassador. His ambassador Heliodorus. Heliodorus reached at the court of Shunga ruler, Shunga dynasty, a ruler who belonged to Shunga dynasty of eastern India during the postmodern period. So reached at the court of Shunga ruler Bhagbhadra. Shunga ruler Bhagbhadra. So Antiochus was the Greek king. And he had a friendly relationship with this ruler who belonged to Shunga dynasty of Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, named Bhagbhadra. So Antiochus, the Greek king, sent his ambassador Heliodorus at the court of Shunga ruler Bhagbhadra. And when Heliodorus reached here, he went all the way to Vidisha. Heliodorus reached at Vidisha. And there Heliodorus found out that people of Vidisha locally, they worshipped a deity named Bhagvat Vasudeva. Heliodorus was very much impressed by the worship of Bhagvat Vasudeva, and to bestow respect upon the god Bhagvat Vasudeva, Heliodorus erected a stone pillar at Base Nagar called Garud Stambh. Base Nagar column, which is also known as Garud Stambh. So Heliodorus erected a stone pillar, Garud Stambh, which is also known as Base Nagar column. Stone column, So still erected at the same place. And it was erected 2200 years ago, before. So this evidence, this historical evidence, is the earliest evidence of worship of Bhagavad Vasudeva. So this is the earliest or the oldest evidence of worship of Bhagavad Vasudeva. Earliest evidence of worship of Bhagavad Vasudeva. So in the beginning, Bhagavad Vasudeva was a local deity. This deity, on karna, chal hi nahi raha. This deity was not included in the list of deities of the Aryans, but Brahmanas, they associated this deity Bhagavad Vasudeva with that of the Aryan deity named Vishnu. So Bhagavad Vasudeva came to be associated with the Aryan god Vishnu. Vasudeva, Bhagavad Vasudeva came to be associated with the Aryan god Lord Vishnu. So see, we are discussing not about our Hindu mythology, but about our historical development of Bhagavatism or Hinduism, है ना? तो दिल पे मत लीजिएगा कुछ बातों को. This class is not about your faith or about your mythology. This class is all about your historical development of this particular religion, or historical development of Brahminical religion, Buddhism, Jainism, Bhagavatism, Shaivism, Shakta and Sufi, Bhakti, and about our own philosophical developments. So Vishnu became the main deity, and in course of time, during the subsequent ages, another deity who was locally worshipped named नारायण. वो टीवी सीरियल में देखा है, नारायण नारायण. वो नारद मुनि जो होते हैं, वो दो ऐसे चिमटी जैसे लिए होते हैं ना, ऐसे बजाते रहेंगे, वो बोलते रहेंगे नारायण नारायण. Same Narayan deity. So Narayan was not the deity of the Aryans. Narayan was a locally worshipped deity. Narayan was a locally worshipped deity, and Narayan came to be associated with Lord Vishnu. And not only Narayan, a deity was widely worshipped in the western parts of Uttar Pradesh, Mathura, Agra and adjacent areas. Krishna was a locally worshipped deity, and Krishna was also associated with Lord Vishnu. And in the regions of eastern Madhya Pradesh, not eastern, sorry, western Madhya Pradesh, Malwa, western Madhya Pradesh, a deity was worshipped. People locally worshipped a deity named Varaha Dev, the boar. Varaha Dev. Eastern Malwa. वो मालवा प्लेटी है ना, ईस्टर्न Malwa, widely worshipped in eastern Malwa. Krishna was widely worshipped in western Uttar Pradesh, and Varaha was widely worshipped in the regions of eastern Malwa. And even Varaha came to be associated with Lord Vishnu. and even during the subsequent ages, Prince of Ayodhya, who was raised to the status of God, Lord Rama was associated with Lord Vishnu. And in this way, Vishnu ji, Lord Vishnu became the supreme deity, supreme god of Vaishnavism, which is also known as Bhagavatism because of Bhagavat Vasudeva. So from and all these processes had happened from 2nd century before Common Era up till 6th century Common Era. So for the कितना साल हो गया? 200 साल उधर, 600 साल इधर, 800 years, over a period of 800 years. So in course of time, right from next paragraph, in course of time, Lord Vishnu became the supreme deity of Lord Vishnu became the supreme deity of the Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism. Vaishnavism or Bhagavatism. But for the followers of Lord Vishnu only, he is considered to be the supreme deity, not for the followers of Lord Shiva. For the Shaivites, Lord Shiva is the supreme deity and not Lord Vishnu. So my hometown is Varanasi. So even if I am a Muslim by my religion, I have eternal relationship with Lord Shiva. Every Banarasi, irrespective of religion or faith, बनारस में चाहे मुस्लिम हो चाहे हिंदू, वो लॉर्ड शिवा से एक इटर्नल इमोशनल अटैचमेंट रखता है. एंड इट्स अ फैक्ट. आप वहां जाएंगे तो आपको खुद फील हो जाएगा. सो भारत रत्न उस्ताद बिस्मिल्लाह खान, so once he said in an interview, he said while he started practicing Shehnai at the ghats of Banaras, every time he observed Lord Shiva and not Khuda, because for Bismillah Khan, Khuda and Shiva are identical. So he had never differentiated between Allah and Shiva. So for the Vaishnavites, Lord Vishnu is the supreme deity and source of all the things and source of this universe as well. Lord Vishnu, according to this mythology, Vishnu Puran, according to Vishnu Puran and according to Bhagavad Gita, Lord Vishnu resides in a primal ocean. Kshir Sagar, on a bed of 1,000-headed snake, Sheshnag. In his sleep, a lotus emerges from his navel, and demiurge Brahma resides on that lotus, and he creates the universe. Brahma ji is responsible for creating the universe according to Vishnu Puran, Bhagavad Puran and this one. क्या बोला था अभी मैंने तीसरा टेक्स्ट? Bhagavad Gita, Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. Brahma ji is responsible for creating the universe, but once this universe is created, Lord Vishnu awakes from his sleep and rules the universe. Sri Vishnu ji is also considered to be the ruler of the universe. Brahma ji, the creator, Vishnu ji, the ruler, and Lord of destructive forces, Lord Shiva, is responsible for destroying the universe if it's required. So during the subsequent ages, during the Gupta period, around 4th and 5th century common era, there emerged a new concept of religion in the Hinduism, a concept of Trinity, a concept of Trideo, while three deities came to be considered as supreme deities of the Hinduism. Brahmaji, the creator, Vishnuji, the ruler of the universe, and Mahesh or Lord Shiva, the destroyer. ऐसे डेवलप हुआ religion. So right, next subheading, Lord Vishnu. This topic is important for your PT examination. Lord Vishnu. And right here, to the Vaishnavites, this God is the source of the universe. This God is the source of the universe and of all the things. So this discussion, this lecture is from Wonder That Was India, written by Professor A.L. Basham. To the Vaishnavites, this God is the source of the universe and of all the things. He sleeps in the primeval ocean on the thousand-headed snake Sheshnag, on the thousand-headed snake Sheshnag. In his sleep, a lotus grows from his navel, and in the lotus is born the demiurge Brahma. Who creates the world? Brahma, who creates the world. Once the world is created, Lord Vishnu awakes to reign in the highest heaven. Vaikunt, in the highest heaven, Vaikunt. bearing in his hands his emblems or symbols. Sorry, aware of emblems of Lord Vishnu? So in his four hands he bears four different things: lotus, conch, shank, kamal, shank, mace, gada, and a discus, Sudarshan chakra. So his emblems: the conch, discus, mace, and lotus. Wearing the holy jewel called कौस्तुभ मणि. कौस्तुभ उनका ज्वेलरी है, मणि है, कौस्तुभ मणि भगवान विष्णु का कौस्तुभ. एंड ही राइट्स ऑन द ग्रेट ईगल Garud, and this vehicle they borrowed from Bhagvat Vasudeva, and that's why to bestow respect upon Bhagvat Vasudeva, Heliodorus erected Garud Stambh. So Garud was the vehicle of Bhagvat Vasudeva, and in course of time it was declared a vehicle of Lord Vishnu. Okay, right, from next paragraph. Lord Vishnu's status as the universal God Lord Vishnu's status as the universal God, of whom all other gods are aspects or emanations, appears as early as Bhagavad Gita, as early as Bhagavad Gita, which means Bhagavad Gita for the first time declared Lord Vishnu as the supreme deity, and all other deities according to the Bhagavad Gita are the manifestations or aspects of Lord Vishnu. And that's why I said to you people that for the Vaishnavites only, this God is the supreme God, and not for the Shaivites or not for the followers of Shakta religion. शैवाइट्स हमेशा लॉर्ड शिवा को सुप्रीम मानेंगे, है ना. वैष्णवाइट्स विष्णु जी को सुप्रीम मानेंगे. एंड ऑन several occasions before the 18th and 19th century, on several occasions Vaishnavites and Shaivites fought with each other to declare their own deities as the supreme deity of the Hinduism. So several clashes broke out among the followers of Shaivism and Vaishnavism. So Bhagavad Gita almost spontaneously became the main or central textbook of this emerging religion. And Bhagavad Gita declared Bhagwan Vishnu the supreme deity. And for the first time, we came across this concept of incarnation. Concept of incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So, concept of incarnation of Lord Vishnu is for the first time mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. And there is a shlok even in Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit. It's in Sanskrit. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. जब जब धर्म की हानि होगी, दुष्ट पापी लोग बढ़ेंगे, भगवान अवतार लेंगे और सुदर्शन चक्र से मुंडी काट देंगे, है ना? तो दुष्ट पापी लोग सावधान रहे. सो concept of incarnation of Lord Vishnu for the first time mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. But we know that altogether there are 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu, and 10th incarnation of Lord Vishnu known as Kalki, Kalkin, Kalki incarnation is yet to be incarnated. जब पापियों का घड़ा भर जाएगा, दुष्ट पापियों का, तब अभी भगवान एक बार और अवतार लेंगे. Which means फ्यूचर में स्कोप छोड़ दिया ब्राह्मण्स ने भागवतिज्म के लिए कि किसी और रिलीजन को समेटना होगा तो समेट लेंगे. And interestingly enough, yesterday I told you people that around 12th century common era, Buddhism came to be virtually disappeared from the place of its origin, India. And Brahmanas, they declared Bhagwan Buddha as a Lord incarnate, Lord Vishnu. जहां से निकले बुद्धा, ब्राह्मणिकल ट्रेडिशंस ने, ब्राह्मण्स ने उन्हें वापस अपने में समेट लिया कि बुद्धा कोई अलग नहीं थे. बुद्धा he was the God incarnate of God Vishnu. 9th incarnation. Buddha was declared 9th incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and 10th one is yet to be incarnated, means future aspect of Vaishnavism is quite open कि और किसी को समेटना होगा तो समेट लेंगे. Historical interpretation, na? Historical, not mythological. Historical interpretation of Vaishnavism. So, right further, the earliest version of this doctrine is contained in the Bhagavad Gita, where in Krishna reveals himself, wherein Krishna reveals himself as the ever active Godhead incarnate. Ever active Godhead incarnate. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself declared that he was the God incarnate, God Vishnu. And while Lord Krishna at the battlefield, he preached to Arjun, and there he said, तो अर्जुन डिप्रेस हो गया था ना, अटेम्प्ट नहीं, फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में नहीं हुआ उसका, अर्जुन का, तो डिप्रेस हो गया. तो उसको लॉर्ड कृष्णा ने समझाया कि क्या डिप्रेस होते हो, ये जिसको मारने के लिए तुम दुखी हो रहे हो, कौन किसको मारता है, कोई मरता वरता नहीं है, है ना? अपना गांडीव, वो धनुष उठाओ और मारो अपने नाते रिश्तेदारों को, क्योंकि कोई नाते रिश्तेदार नहीं होता युद्ध भूमि में. ऐसा बोला ना, पूरा उपदेश दिया. और फिर भी अर्जुन नहीं कन्विंस हुआ, तब भगवान कृष्ण को असली रूप में आना पड़ा. फिर उन्होंने अपना असली रूप दिखाया अर्जुन को. देन ही वॉज फाइनली मेस्मराइज्ड एंड ही वॉज फुल ऑफ एनर्जी. And he started fighting battle and inflicted crushing defeats on the Kauravas at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So ever active, God incarnate, Godhead incarnate. Incarnation, right further, incarnation of Lord Vishnu are 10 in number. So this complete list of, right in bracket, complete list of all the 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu is mentioned in a textbook of 12th century Common Era entitled Geet Govind. Geet Govind means songs of Lord Krishna. Geet मतलब song. गोविंद कृष्ण जी को गोविंद भी बोला गया है. गोविंद महाराष्ट्र में क्या बोलते हैं? गोविंदा. गोविंदा आला रे नहीं बोलते ऐसे. गोविंदा मीन्स गोविंद, कृष्णा, कृष्णा. So 12th century Common Era entitled Geet Govind, written by Jayadeva. Jayadev. Written by Jayadev. So concept of incarnation is for the first time mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, but complete list of all the 10 incarnation of God Vishnu is for the first time mentioned in Geet Govind, written by Jayadev. And these are as follows. First one, Matsya Avatar. Matsya Avatar. The fish. Matsya means fish. Matsya Avatar. When the earth was overwhelmed by a universal flood. These facts are from mythology. When the earth was overwhelmed by the universal flood, Lord Vishnu took the form of a fish, saved Manu and his family and Vedas, and they call that Muslims are the descendants and people are the descendants of Adam and Hawa, Adam and Eve. So actually Islam is largely based on Christianity. So Abraham of Christians became Ibrahim. Moses of Christianity became Musa alayhi salam. Adam and Eve, Adam and Hawa. दिल पे मत लीजिएगा, जो है सो है ना, और ले भी लेंगे तो क्या. So saved Manu and his family and Vedas. Matsya Avatar. Second one, किसी दिन पीटा जाऊंगा नहीं बाहर पक्का. कुछ ऑर्थोडॉक्स इस्लामिक लोग मिलेंगे, बहुत धोएंगे मेरे को मालूम है मुझे. कूर्मा बजाओ चलीजिएगा आप लोग. कूर्मा अवतार, द टॉर्टॉइज. कूर्म, टॉर्टॉइज, कूर्म अवतार. सो राइट हियर, मेनी डिवाइन थिंग्स were lost in the universal flood. including the ambrosia with which the god preserved their youth. Ambrosia preserved their youth. Lord Vishnu became the tortoise. Lord Vishnu became the tortoise, and on his back the gods placed Mount Mandar and twinning the divine snake, Vasuki, and the mountain churned the ocean and emerged ambrosia. And other things, and one more thing, and in things including goddess Lakshmi. Lakshmi ji bhi prakat hui, and she was married to God Vishnu. She was goddess Lakshmi and she was married to God Vishnu. So मत्स्य अवतार, सीक्वेंस याद रखिएगा, यही पूछेगा अवतार, कहानी नहीं पूछेगा, तो मैं बता दे रहा हूं आपको बस. मत्स्य, कूर्म, वराह. मत्स्य, कूर्म, थर्ड वन वराह, द बोर, वराह अवतार. So to kill, or he killed Rakshas, demon. Hiranyaksha, and raised the earth on his tusk. Varaha avatar. And fourth one, man lion. Narsimha, nar means manushya, singh, sher, man lion. To kill Hiranyakashipu. To kill Hiranyakashipu. Vamana avatar. Vaman, the dwarf. Vaman avatar. To suppress a demon named Raja Bali. बाली है ना, बाली अवकाश से नाम में. वामनावतार, man lion, Narsimha, then dwarf, Vaman, and sixth one, Rama with the axe, or Parsurama avatar. Parsurama avatar, it indicates a kind of clash between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, and on several occasions Parshurama killed large number of Kshatriyas with his axe. And Parshurama was the god incarnate, God Vishnu. So Parshurama, followed by seventh avatar, Rama avatar, then Krishna Krishna avatar. So Krishna avatar is the most important avatar. The most important. Incarnation of God Vishnu. So Krishna was a historical reality. Krishna, son of Devaki, is mentioned as early as the Chandogya Upanishad, as early as the Chandogya Upanishad. And while we were discussing about the Vedic literature, I told you people that Upanishads were composed during the 7th and 6th centuries before Common Era. And after 6th century before Common Era, when the Aryans had invented their own script called Brahmi and Kharosthi script, entire Vedic literature was reduced to writing on palm leaves. ठीक है ना? तो ये एविडेंसेस हैं हमारे पास कृष्ण जी के. 9th. So curiously enough, Buddha. So finally, even Lord Buddha was assimilated within the Brahmanical tradition or Hinduism. Buddha. So this is mentioned in Jayadev's Geet Govind that Lord Vishnu became Buddha. Lord Vishnu became Buddha. कि बुद्ध कोई नहीं थे, वो तो भगवान विष्णु थे. So mention in Jayadev Geet Govind. However, which contains one of the earliest list of incarnations, states that Vishnu became Buddha. Vishnu became Buddha. Tenth one. Last one. Kalki. The incarnation yet to come. At the end of dark age. Dark age here means घोर कलयुग, है ना? आप लोग ने बहुत कलयुग चल रहा है, घोर कलयुग आ गया है. सो एट द एंड ऑफ डार्क एज, लॉर्ड विष्णु will appear in the form of a man mounted on a white horse with a flaming sword in his hand, with the flaming sword in his hand. So a list of all the 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu. And right next subheading, development of Bhagavad religion, or Bhagavatism or Vaishnavism. So in fact, Brahminical religion, है ना, Brahminical religion of Rigvedic and later Vedic period from 2nd century before Common Era and onwards came to be known as Bhagavatism. Because Bhagavatism or Vaishnavism is an improved version of the Brahminical religion. And this religion is based on a very important concept of bhakti. So very important, this concept of bhakti is very important, and this explanation is important for a mains examination. Right here, concept of bhakti means, first aspect of bhakti, complete and desireless devotion towards the God This concept is known as prapatti. A word, symbolic word, was used by an acharya of acharya tradition named Ramanuj. Ramanuj Acharya called this concept prapatti. So this term was given by Ramanujacharya in the beginning years of 11th century Common Era, later on. And second, loving relationship towards the God. Loving relationship towards the God, such as, for example, loving relationship of Lord Krishna and Gopi Krishna. So this relationship of Lord Krishna with so many gopis, it indicates kind of relationship between the worshipper and the worshipped, between the worshipper Bhakt and Bhagwan, and Krishna and Sudama. So right from next paragraph, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, even if a chandal comes to my shelter, I would provide him complete freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. That is moksha. Moksha. So, to get moksha, Lord Krishna suggested to practice bhakti. And day before yesterday, I told to people about the basic philosophy of Upanishad. There is an universal soul called Brahma. Universal soul called Brahma. And individuals, so we people, individuals called individual soul or yes, Atma, Brahma and लिखा ब्रह्मन है, पढ़ते हैं ब्रह्म है, ब्रह्म एंड आत्मा. एंड an individual is the manifestation of this Atma is the manifestation of Brahma, or an individual soul is the manifestation of universal soul, and it's mentioned in the Upanishadic thought like a small drop of water from a great ocean. And now this individual is caught in a cycle of birth and rebirth. In a cycle of birth and rebirth. And ultimate objective, final objective of the life of this Atma or this individual soul is to assimilate. So called assimilation. And once this individual soul is assimilated into the universal soul, he or she is not going to have any more birth, and he or she is totally free from this vicious cycle of birth and rebirth. And this is what we know as moksha. Moksha means freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. And Upanishads suggested 3 ways to get the status of moksha. Gyan Marg, Janan Marg phonetically, and it's pronounced as Gyan Marg. With emphasis more on attaining knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of the exact nature of universal soul and of individual soul, and knowledge of ultimate objective of our life. This kind of knowledge. Gyan Marg, Karma Marg and Bhakti Marg. So Upanishadic philosophy emphasized more on Gyan Marg. ज्ञान मार्ग. उपनिषद ने किस पे जोर दिया मोक्ष के लिए? ज्ञान पर प्राप्ति करिए, ज्ञान के थ्रू आप मोक्ष प्राप्त कर सकते हैं. टू गेट द स्टेटस ऑफ मोक्ष, कंप्लीट फ्रीडम फ्रॉम द साइकिल ऑफ बर्थ एंड रीबर्थ. बट दिस फिलॉसफी, इसमें क्या बोला गया? So if you want to get freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth, as such there is no need to get knowledge but भक्ति. नॉलेज वॉलेज से काम वो छोड़िए, जाने दीजिए. आप बस भगवान के शरण में आइए, चरण पकड़ लीजिए, भगवान आईएएस बना दो. यही है भक्ति ना. लेकिन मन में इच्छा लेके गए तो भक्ति तो नहीं हुआ ना. डिजायरलेस and complete devotion, desireless devotion before the God is called bhakti. So when you are full of desires and then only you are approaching your God, this is what we not known as bhakti. ये भक्ति ही नहीं है. फंडामेंटल कॉन्सेप्ट के अगेंस्ट हम लोग जाते हैं भक्ति में. भगवान को लड्डू लेके जाते हैं, भगवान को चढ़ावा लेके जाते हैं, भगवान को सोना चढ़ाते हैं. भगवान को सोना नहीं चाहिए, भक्त का भाव चाहिए. भगवान लड्डू खाने के लिए थोड़ी बैठा है ना. सो लॉर्ड कृष्णा, while Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, so even if a Chandal comes to my shelter full of bhakti, I would like to provide him freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. इस लाइन का मतलब क्या हुआ? बहुत सारे मीनिंग छुपे हुए इसमें. कौन कौन से? इसका इस लाइन को इंटरप्रेट कर देते हैं ना. इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ दिस स्टेटमेंट स्टेटेड बाय लॉर्ड कृष्णा. लॉर्ड कृष्णा क्या बोल रहे हैं? ब्राह्मण लोग लॉर्ड कृष्णा के मुंह से बुलवा रहे हैं. फर्स्ट वन, इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ दिस स्टेटमेंट. फर्स्ट वन, इट बिकेम easier to get मोक्ष, है ना. मोक्ष आसान हो गया. अब मोक्ष के लिए ज्ञानवान की जरूरत नहीं है. सिर्फ भगवान की भक्ति करिए, भजन कीर्तन करिए, भगवान खुश हो जाएंगे, मोक्ष दे देंगे, है ना. सो इट बिकेम इजियर टू गेट मोक्ष. सेकेंड वन, all the men are men क्या लिखें? all the men irrespective of gender, जेंडर न्यूट्रल वर्ड यहां पे यूज किया. all the men are equal before the God. So Chandal and a Brahman. Chandal, even Chandal was now, even a Chandal outcast, untouchable, was also entitled to attain the status of moksha. Earlier, Shudras were deprived of their religious rights. Even during the later Vedic period and onwards, even the Shudras were not entitled to listen Vedas or Vedic mantras. अगर कोई शूद्र वैदिक मंत्र सुन लेता था ना, तो उसके कान में शीशा पिघला के उड़ेल देते थे. वेद कैसे सुन लिया तुमने? सो नॉट ऑलवेज, हमें हमेशा ऐसा नहीं होता रहा होगा, लेकिन ऐसा एविडेंसेस है हमारे पास. शूद्रों के साथ अच्छा बर्ताव नहीं था, लेकिन ज्यादा पैमाने पे नहीं होता रहा होगा ना. ऑकेजनली कभी कभी हुआ होगा ऐसा. एग्जेगरेट मत करिएगा इसको जबरदस्ती का, है ना. पॉलिटिकल मोटिव्स भी हो जाता है ना लोगों का. सो बट as a whole, Shudras were deprived of their religious rights. Now, even Shudras, untouchables, Chandals, hunters, forest dwellers, outcasts, they were now entitled to get the status of moksha. So all the men became equal. They were declared or are equal before the God. सब लोग बराबर हो गए. Third one, moksha was now available for all, है ना. अब मोक्ष सबको मिल सकता था. It was now available for all, which means it was like democratization of moksha, when it was available to all. Okay, na? And one more thing, in this concept of bhakti, mediators were not required. Mediators were not required. ब्राह्मण्स की जरूरत नहीं है, पंडित जी की जरूरत नहीं है, आप सीधे भगवान को अप्रोच करिए. जैसे होता है ना फंडामेंटल राइट्स. So when your fundamental rights are violated, you are free to approach the Honorable Supreme Court of India. So here in this concept as well, people were now free to approach their supreme deity directly without any mediator, तो अब पंडित ब्राह्मण की जरूरत नहीं रहेगी, सीधे भगवान को अप्रोच करिए मंदिर में जाके, है ना. लेकिन फिर भी ब्राह्मण रहते हैं वहां पे, पुजारी के ही हाथ से प्रसाद चढ़ेगा. आइडियोलॉजिकल डोमिनेंस है भी. भगवत गीता को मैं सेपरेटली बताऊंगा अलग से. सो अब भगवत गीता, पुराण, धर्मशास्त्र, धर्मसूत्र, स्मृतिस, पुराणास, महाभारत, रामायण, भागवत गीता. So Bhagavad Gita was finally compiled during the 4th century Common Era, during the Gupta period, and Bhagavad Gita is a part of Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. भागवत गीता अलग से कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन अलग से निकाल दिया गया, पार्ट ऑफ भीष्म पर्व ऑफ महाभारत, द लार्जेस्ट epic of the world. According to the tradition, Ved Vyas, not according to the Indian history, according to the tradition, Ved Vyas is said to be the writer of Mahabharat. But Mahabharat was compiled over a period of 600 years. So many people, they added and they added and there are so many hymns or stanzas in fact. So Mahabharat contains more than 1 lakh stanzas, and this is the largest epic of the world, and it's not possible for one man or single man to compose more than 1 lakh stanzas. It took for the writers about 600 or 700 years finally to compile Mahabharata and Ramayana. Mahabharata and Ramayana, both the two epics were compiled parallel to each other, and finally both the two epics were compiled during the Gupta period. ये अलग से डिस्कस करेंगे हम लोग. So this is all about origin and development of Bhagavad religion or Vaishnavism. So right, next one. Shaivism. So during the discussion, while we were discussing about the Harappa civilization, I told you people about this particular seal, or which is also known as Pashupati seal, and this seal was found at Mohenjo-daro in the year 1922. When Mohenjo-daro mound was excavated under the supervision of John Marshall, the then Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, Archaeological Survey of India, and the excavation was performed by R.D. Banerjee. And R.D. Banerjee and others, they recovered the seal from the excavation. And John Marshall, he observed the seal, and John Marshall gave this name, Pati means Pashu, beasts. Pati, Lord of the beasts. And John Marshall observed striking similarities between this deity, this deity depicted on the Pashupati seal and Lord Shiva or Pashupati Mahadeva of later Hindu mythology. This deity is wearing a three-horned structure, sitting cross-legged in the meditation posture and surrounded by the animals from all the three sides. Tiger, elephant, water buffalo, and rhino, and two antelopes beneath the feet. And this characteristic feature, these characteristic features resembles to that of Pashupati Mahadeva or Lord Shiva of later Hindu mythology. And one more thing, the Hadappans were the phallus worshippers, ling pujak, because images of sex organs have been recovered from the excavations at so many sites related to the Harappa civilization. So Hadappans were phallus worshippers, and Hadappans also depicted humped bull, kubad sant, on the seals, and humped bull is the most depicted animal on the seals we have recovered from the excavations. So, and humped bull is associated with Lord Shiva, है ना? Lord Shiva का vehicle क्या है? Nandi ji, and Nandi ji is a humped bull. नंदी जी इसलिए बोल रहा हूं कि किसी भी रिलीजन का आप फॉलोअर हो सकते हैं ना, तो रेस्पेक्ट करना होता है, आप यूं ही नहीं बोल सकते ना ये शिवा, लॉर्ड शिवा, ऐसे बोलना होता है। तो इतना ख्याल रखना होता है आपको, इवन अब हम इंटरव्यू बोर्ड में भी होंगे ना, तो ये सब ध्यान रखिएगा, कैसे रिलीजियस मुद्दे पे क्वेश्चंस बनते हैं, उठाए जाते हैं और आप वहां फंस जाते हैं फिर, ठीक है। So right here, simultaneously a fertility god from the days of Harappa civilization, simultaneously a fertility god from the days of Harappa civilization rose to prominence. This was Lord Shiva. Identified with Vedic god Rudra, the god of destructive forces. So during the Rigvedic period, from 1500 before Common Era till 1000 before Common Era, the Aryans, they worshipped several deities. They started personification of natural phenomena, and they also practiced henotheism or कैथेनोथिज्म, ये सब हम लोग डिस्कस कर चुके हैं ना, हिनोथिज्म और कैथेनोथिज्म. एंड ड्यूरिंग द ऋग्वैदिक पीरियड इंद्र, अग्नि एंड वरुण वर most frequently gods. Indra was the most frequently god, followed by Agni and Varun Dev. Indra, Agni and Varun Dev. And during the Rigvedic period, other deities like Rudra and Vishnu were considered to be the gods of lesser importance. But when the Aryans around 1000 before Common Era, when they started living a settled life, when they started living in the villages, Indra, Agni, Varun, they lost their prominence, they lost their importance, and some other deities rose to importance like Rudra and Vishnu. So Lord Shiva identified with Vedic god Rudra and usually worshipped in the form of phallic emblem, ling puja, in the form of phallic emblem. With Lord Shiva were later associated certain other popular divinities such as विष्णु जी के साथ बहुत सारे देवताओं को जोड़ा गया, लाइक भागवत, वासुदेवा, नारायण, वरा, कृष्ण, रामा, और लॉर्ड शिवा के साथ भी बहुत सारे लोकल डिआइटीज को एसोसिएट किया गया. सो मेनी लोकल डिआइटीज ऑफ in particular of South India came to be associated with Rudra or Lord Shiva. Historical development, historical explanation of our religion and not mythological. Like Lord Ganesha, Ganesh ji Aryan deity नहीं है. Lord Ganesha was widely worshipped in the Marathwada regions, and when the Aryans from North India they started penetrating into the South India, South Indian deity, Deccan areas and South Indian deities were associated with the Aryan deity Lord Shiva, which also indicates Aryanization of South India. It in fact indicates Aryanization of South India. And some historians have stated that ये आप लोग जानते होंगे ना कि गणेश जी का सिर काट दिया गुस्से में आकर के शिव जी ने. फिर उन्हें अफसोस हुआ तो फिर उन्होंने अपने सर्वेंट्स को भेजा कि जाओ जो भी पहले दिखे उसका सिर ले आना, मैं जोड़ दूंगा. तो उनके जो सर्वेंट्स थे वो गए, उन्हें हाथी का एलिफेंट बेबी दिखाई दिया, हाथी का बच्चा, उसका सिर वो काट के ले आए और उन्होंने गणेश जी पे, शिव जी ने गणेश जी पे लगा दिया. तो कुछ हिस्टोरियंस बोलते हैं इट इंडिकेट्स आर्यनाइजेशन ऑफ नॉर्थ इंडिया, आर्यनाइजेशन ऑफ साउथ इंडिया. ये सिर काटना फिर जोड़ना ये सिंबॉलिक है. ये जो माइथोलॉजी है और उसका बैकग्राउंड हिस्ट्री से कैसे ले रहे हैं हिस्टोरियंस. लाइक किलिंग ऑफ अ डेमन बाय गॉडेस दुर्गा, वो जो तलवार से मारती है ना दुर्गा देवी, जो मूर्ति में बनाया जाता है, क्या बताइए वो जो राक्षस को मारती है देवी दुर्गा, महिष, त्रिशूल से ना, ट्राइडेंट, वो तो मुझे मालूम, राक्षस महिषासुर. तो कुछ हिस्टोरियंस क्या बोलते हैं कि महिषासुर का मारना गॉडेस दुर्गा ये इंडिकेट करता है कि नॉन आर्यंस वर डिफीटेड बाय द आर्यंस, एंड नॉन आर्यंस वर डिफीटेड एंड नॉन आर्यंस वर किल्ड बाय द आर्यंस, ऐसा भी मानना है ना, ये हिस्टोरियन है, मेरा नहीं। ठीक है ना, ये टॉपिक पढ़ाना बड़ा रिस्की होता है। कई बार कुछ सेंटर्स पे ना लोग मेरे को ब्लेम कर देते हैं कि ये एंटी हिंदू टीचर है, तो बड़ा ऑकवर्ड हो जाता है ना। अगर आपका ही स्टूडेंट आपको बोल दे कि एंटी हिंदू टीचर है, कितना बुरा लगेगा। ऐसा ऐसा कभी कभी होता है, एक दो लोग होते हैं कुछ कुछ बैचेस में, है ना। तो जैसे लास्ट बैच में मैंने बोल दिया था, आज भी बोला मैंने कि लॉर्ड शिवा से हमारे बनारसियों का क्या है, एक इटर्नल रिलेशनशिप है। तो एक स्टूडेंट बोला कि ये मुसलमान टीचर है, इसका शिवा के साथ, लॉर्ड शिवा के साथ इटर्नल रिलेशनशिप कैसे फील कर सकता है, झूठ बोल रहा है। अरे भाई मैं झूठ बोल रहा हूं, तुमको कैसे पता? है ना, ऐसे ऐसे लोग हैं हमारे कंट्री में। और आईएएस एस्पायरेंट, ख्वाब आईएएस बनने का है, ऐसे लोग जाके क्या करेंगे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में, जो ये भी नहीं सोच पाते हैं कि कम से कम एक मुसलमान भी तो शिवा के साथ अटैचमेंट फील कर सकता है ना। इसमें कौन सा ऑकवर्ड, कौन सी खराब बात हो गई? तो उसको यकीन नहीं हुआ। ये कैसे हो सकता है? ये जावेद सर झूठ बोल देते हैं। अब ठीक है, जो तुम्हारा सोचना है सोचो, क्या किया जा सकता है। सो सच एज लॉर्ड गणेशा एंड स्कंद, लॉर्ड गणेशा एंड स्कंद। गणेश जी को बोला जाता ना शिव जी के बड़े बेटे, और स्कंद को, गणेश जी छोटे, माइथोलॉजी में आता है। राइट फर्दर, एट द एंड ऑफ द Gupta period, Gupta period means 4th and 5th centuries before, 4th and 5th centuries common era. At the end of Gupta period, goddesses rose to prominence. Goddesses rose to prominence together with the male deities such as Goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva. Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Vishnu. And Brahma ji and Saraswati. I'm not very sure about that. छोड़ जाने, ठीक, इतना रहने देते हैं, बहुत है इतना, तो एग्जाम्पल बहुत है। द फाइनल फॉर्म ऑफ हिंदुइज्म, the final form of Hinduism. Now Hinduism, it includes Brahminical religion, Bhagavatism, Shaivism, and religion interwoven around the goddesses called Shakti religion. So the final form of Hinduism was largely the result of influence from the Dravidian South. From the Dravidian South, like Ganesha and Murugan, Subramaniam, Kartikeya, Skand, ऐसे बहुत सारे देवता. Next one, another, the mother goddess, Shakti religion, the mother goddess. So mother goddesses were worshipped at all times in India. Mother goddesses were worshipped at all times in India. But between the days of Harappa civilization and the Gupta period, which means from 2600 or even बिफोर, हम लोग यहां ले सकते हैं 3000 से ले लेते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं ना. 3000 बिफोर कॉमन इरा अप टिल 5th सेंचुरी कॉमन इरा, है ना. तो 3000 साल उधर और 500 साल उसके बाद 3500. But between the days of Harappa civilization and the Gupta period, the cult of goddesses attracted little attention. Attracted little attention from the learned and influential. And only emerged from obscurity. Emerged from obscurity means rose to importance, and only emerged from obscurity to a position of real importance in the Middle Ages. Emerged from obscurity to a position of real importance in the Middle Ages. So in the Middle Ages means from the pre-medieval period, from 6th or 7th centuries common era and onwards, that the cult of goddesses attained some importance, and we have evidences to prove this notion. While Lord Shiva was declared one of the 3 supreme deities, but his divine powers were worthless when he was without goddess Parvati. तो गॉडेस वाले कल्ट ने ये बोला कि अच्छा ठीक है, शिव जी सुप्रीम होंगे, लेकिन होम मिनिस्टर तो पार्वती जी ही हैं, और बिना होम मिनिस्टर के तो शिव जी चल ही नहीं सकते हैं. ठीक है ना. तो ये बोला गया, इंपॉर्टेंस देने की कोशिश की गई गॉडेसेस को. सो रियल इंपॉर्टेंस इन द मिडिवल एजेस. जैसे ये जानते हैं आप लोग ना, एक मूर्ति बनती है, मैं बाद में पढ़ाऊंगा इसको आर्ट एंड कल्चर में, अर्धनारीश्वर. उसमें आधी मूर्ति शिव जी की होती है और आधी पार्वती जी की, विच इंडिकेट्स रीयूनियन ऑफ लॉर्ड शिवा एंड गॉडेस पार्वती. कि शिव जी पार्वती जी के बिना आधे हैं, मतलब शिव जी की ताकत, डिवाइन पावर पार्वती जी से है. ठीक है ना. इन द मिडिल एजेस comma, when female divinities, goddesses, female divinities connected with the gods as their spouses, wife, the goddess was the शक्ति, बोलते हैं ना लोग नारी शक्ति, देखिए कल प्रूव हुआ ना नारी शक्ति, रिजल्ट देखिए है ना. The goddess was, इवन जो हम लोगों की स्टूडेंट हैं वो दोनों भी, जो ज्यादा रैंक में है वो दोनों भी गर्ल्स हैं. सौम्या 4th रैंक और इला त्रिपाठी 51st रैंक. जो ध्येय का 2 बड़ा रैंक है, दोनों ही गर्ल्स का है. नारी शक्ति जिंदाबाद. The goddesses was the शक्ति. The strength of her male counterpart. आप लोगों का सिलेक्शन होता है ना, तो हम लोग को भी थोड़ा इंपॉर्टेंस मिल जाता है, बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. बच्चों का जब पढ़ाए हुए स्टूडेंट्स का सिलेक्शन होता है ना और अच्छे रैंक में होता है तब बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. तो कुछ कुछ चैनल वाले हम लोग को भी अप्रोच करते हैं कि सर जरा इंटरव्यू दे दीजिएगा. तो एक कॉल आया मेरे पास, बड़ा अच्छा लगा. पहली बार सेलिब्रिटी वाली फीलिंग आई. IBN 7 वाला एक चैनल वाला था, उसने कहा सर आपका इंटरव्यू लेना है. मैंने कहा मैं तो ऑर्डिनरी आदमी, टीचर हूँ, मेरा इंटरव्यू किस बात का. नहीं सर वो आप लोगों के स्टूडेंट्स बड़े सेलेक्ट हुए हैं. हाँ ये तो है. सर कब मिलिएगा. मैं कहा जब कब, मैं तो खाली बैठा हूँ. जब बोलो आ जाओ. So anyway, the goddesses was the Shakti, the strength of her male counterpart. It was thought that the god was inactive. It was thought that Lord Shiva was inactive without the goddess Parvati. Lord Vishnu was inactive without the goddess Lakshmi. So God was inactive, है ना? It was thought that the God was inactive and transcendent while his female counterpart, यहीं से शायद है ना बेटर हाफ. शायद यहीं से कॉन्सेप्ट है. वाइफ को लोग क्या बोलते हैं? माई बेटर हाफ. सो inactive and transcendent while his female counterpart was active and immanent. From the Gupta period, means from 275 up to 550 Anno Domini or Common Era. From the Gupta period onwards, the mother goddess increased in importance and still strong in Bengal and Assam. Bengal and Assam. So apart from all these male and female deities, even we have some gods of lesser importance. Once they were treated like supreme deities, but now they have totally lost their importance. So we have some gods of lesser importance, like once included in the list of Trinity, Brahmaji is the god of lesser importance, and just one temple, only one temple is left in our country for Lord Brahma, and that temple is located in Pushkar, ये अजमेर. पूरे इंडिया में ब्रह्मा जी का सिर्फ एक मंदिर बचा है. इंद्र भगवान को तो कोई पूछता ही नहीं है. वरुण, Indra, all these gods, they became the gods of lesser importance. So these gods are important for Hindu mythology, but not for our examination. So we are not going to discuss these gods and goddesses of lesser importance. Like next heading, Hindu cosmogony, Hindu view of universe, cosmology, cosmogony. इससे क्वेश्चन आया हुआ ना पीटी में. So wait for 5 minutes. मेरे एक फ्रेंड आए हुए हैं, बस 5 मिनट. कहीं जाइएगा नहीं आप लोग ना, उनसे मिल लेता हूँ, फिर तो कहीं भी नहीं जाएगा, हिलिएगा भी नहीं, जहां बैठे वहीं बैठे रहिएगा.